Well, welcome everyone to this discussion into bringing safety to Tantra. It's a discussion I know for both myself and especially for you, dear, how much your passion and enthusiasm and really motivation you have around this subject. And yeah, I'd love this dialogue is really just be a conversation to just get some pinpoints and understandings into what that even means in terms of Tantra and safety. And I'd love to hear from you, like, why is it that you're so enthusiastic about safety into Tantra? Like, why is it that it pulls on the chords of your heart so much? I'd love to know.
um, well, I can feel the spaces in my own being where some of the deep practices that involve the sexual and emotional body would bring a lot to the surface when I first started Tantra. And sometimes I didn't know how to integrate that, or sometimes it wasn't quite balanced with the upper chakras and deep presence and witnessing and slow, slow experiences that can be really felt in the heart and yeah, I understood. So I'm passionate about it because of where the lack of safety in my own experience created a bit of discombobulation or a repeating of trauma in my body. And I'm also passionate about it because of my knowledge of how how much presence and reflection is required as we're evolving and shifting. And with tantra, change is happening through the body, and for that to really integrate and for that to really, for our shamanic infrastructure to authentically shift, there needs to be an awareness that goes with that, and there needs to be a care that goes with that, and a capacity for the field that people are being held in to really notice where fight, flight, freeze is going off, and to make sure that the person is fully in their body.
Yeah, and it's like this topic. I feel like sometimes when I bring this up with other, tantric practitioners or people in this field, sometimes there's this feeling of like, well, safety is an inside job, and it's not anyone's requirement to create safety. And I definitely can understand that on a certain semantic level, and I think there's a certain level of like this own inner union and finding safety. But I also I've seen more and more that if somebody doesn't feel a certain level of safety with the area that their willingness to grow and to transform, then part of that willingness to find the edge, they won't necessarily go there because a part of them doesn't feel like the container, the workshop, the space, the session allows their body to go to that place they're not willing to go. So I'd love to know your thoughts about that as well, because I feel like this safety as an inside job, and what does that even really mean in many ways?
Well, if safety was an inside job, they wouldn't be there in the first place. If we really feel safe with who we are and able to be fully expressed as who we are, then we're enlightened. It's like there's nowhere to go, there's nowhere to be. We can penetrate the moment with a level of presence that whatever we're feeling and whatever we're thinking, it's safe for us. So we're not going into stress, and there's not that incentive to attend a workshop or a retreat that helps us with the stress that we're feeling, whatever form that stress takes, whether it's more mental, emotional, physical, or sexual. So the fact that when people are coming, they're often looking for something to create safety
Mm,
and find out who they are means that often what we're dealing with is a young child in parts of the retreat or parts of the workshop space, and people who haven't been given permission to really feel, to really engage sexually, to feel their sexual body, to connect at the heart. um, Once they are finally given that permission and the animals let out of the cage, so to speak, there needs to be a balance of consciousness with that. So what I find in spirituality is that there's either too much consciousness and the animal is denied, or too much like going into the lower chakras and animal and emotion and desire, and consciousness is denied. So to create a safe field, really, we want white tantra, which is more, pratyahara and meditation and witness consciousness and deity worship and yantra and all the stuff that really expands our presence, our awareness, our intuition, our capacity to be the infinite that can hold everything. And that part of us that is fucking human and raw and wants to be loved and has desire and feels deeply. So that's red tantra. And some people think that tantra is red tantra. It's not. Tantra is a whole spectrum. There's red tantra, which is, yeah, more based in those lower chakras. There's white, which is more the upper chakras. And then there's rose, which is where Elias sits. And that's where white tantra and red tantra are meeting at the center of the heart so that we can feel what it means to be safe with who we are, feel what it means to not identify that we are our thoughts or that we are our body, but also not deny the fact that we have this human body and that we think these thoughts and okay, so here I am, here we are, what's alive in me, can I express that? And in that expression there be integration, and there's a number of ways and a number of different methods that Elia employs so that integration can happen and people aren't just going into peak experiences and chasing peak experiences and waiting for the next ceremony to give them what they're looking for, that it's sustainable, that they can bring it into their everyday life and experience God, not just in peak ceremonies or peak experiences or in heightened connections with others, but experience God in every moment as something which is living and breathing through everything in existence, including our pain and our pleasure, including someone who appears to be our enemy or someone who appears to be our savior. Just fucking everything and everyone is God. But we can't really feel that authentically without this balance.
Yeah, and I know in my own journey, it's like this place of balance, of safety within that's sustainable in everyday life. It's like, and being in this field of self-development and Tantra for the last decade, it's like there's so much I see happen in a seminar, workshop, or retreat. And then what I think I love the most in teaching with you and coming more into Alaya is that a lot of what we're sharing and focusing is in how this can be applied into everyday life. And in my own journey, I've started to recognize that even more. It's like this intrinsically safe state I feel when I can vibrate and understand what's happening in my emotions, and I can also, move what's alive within me, but then understand on a consciousness to allow my heart to actually flutter open. It enables me to feel more safe. It enables me to feel like I'm not chasing something that's going to make me feel better, or running away from something that I'm afraid of. So it's like this intrinsic safety that I felt in my body really over the last few years more and more as I've been diving into all of this field more and teaching into it. It's like the safety in that sense to me is an inside job, but the only way I've been able to expand into that is to be in containers and to be in places where I can go to the depths of my animal and do it in a way where I'm not overcrossing boundaries, and I'm not being obtrusive to someone else. I'm actually staying in integrity to myself. So I find when that safety can be intrinsically known from how my body is vibrating and my heart actually flutters itself open, then that's where safety actually is applied, because I'm not trying to have power over anybody that I'm sharing with. I'm sharing power with, because we're all trying to get to that same feeling, sense of heart resonance that's coming into any interaction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and people need to learn that. They need to learn how to share power and not compete or compare anymore. They need to learn, they need to feel the love that's in the center of a circle at a deep level, where it's not something which is only experienced on retreat. But yeah, something that they can take with them. And community, helping people to form their own communities, is something I'm passionate about. The other things that are completely, to me, like non-negotiables for creating a safe field is that facilitators aren't fucking students. And that's because often they what is happening is we are engaging as we're going into the depth and breadth of the emotional body and the sexual body. A lot of stuff from childhood is coming up, a lot of wounded, and the inner child, especially through somatic experiences, body-based experiences, really comes up to be healed. And all of the times that we haven't been able to cry, that we haven't been able to say no, that we haven't been able to run, all of that is alive in our bodies. So yeah, I'm all for seeing people as autonomous beings, yes, 100%. But I'm also very attuned to where people are on retreats, and a lot of the time where they are for at least a large portion of the processing that's happening is in their inner child. And that inner child needs to, that safety within that you're talking about, they need to find that safety here. They need to find the happy inner family here, the father energy, the mother energy. And if they're projecting that father or that divinity onto a facilitator who's fucking them, that can get lost, number one. Number two, I think that there's this space where, yes, when when a student is made love to by someone tantric, it's going to flush out a lot of stuff. Of course, it's powerful medicine when you're penetrated with love and presence. Anything that's not love and present comes up to be touched and healed, and orgasmic energy is a healing modality. I get that. But if someone is going, you're so amazing and you did this for me, I don't know how amazing they are. And it robs the person, it may be a slower path, but it robs the person of their own experience of feeling the power of their own Kundalini energy, their own sexual energy, their own emotional capacity to actually fucking burn, to feel what there is to feel, to see what there is to see, to sit with that, let it burn and feel their power to initiate themselves. So the first thing I would say is absolutely at Alaya, we do not sexually engage with our clients, with our participants. The other thing is that there's the practices are done with a level of awareness that we need to do things slowly. If we take the body from rest and digest, from kind of ease into strong catharsis and into strong practices and straight into energetics where there isn't enough experience of being present to our emotional body to be able to really hold ourselves in that and hold another in that, it can do more damage than good. So with Alaya, and you know, this took me a while to learn. Where we're at now is actually slow somatic experiences may not have the full-on of some of the stronger somatic experiences, but they come in and they start doing their magic and people start feeling, and it's a slow coming home you know, to the body and to who they are, rather than kind of a blasting and then it's like, now what do I do when I'm back in the matrix? So the second thing is slow somatic experiences. The third thing is that we have a team of people who are highly skilled. You know, there's a nurse on our team who's been trained in somatic therapy. There's you who spiritual psychology, master's degree in spiritual psychology and lots of coaching. I have over 10 years of experience teaching, and before that, lots of personal development experience. Tara, 10 years in India, and trained singer and educated Antosh. It's like, Jace, everyone has a lot of experience. I train my support staff to know what to do when people go into fight, flight, or freeze. And it's not about overly caretaking participants, but it's about understanding that actually if someone doesn't have the capacity within themselves or the knowledge or the tools to be fully present, again, more damage can be done than good if their body is shaking and tremoring and they could hurt themselves and they don't know what to do with that energy. And then if they're not supported in that, they either end up fighting or going into a lot of drama to get the attention that they're wanting. And either one of those is not going to serve them and it's not going to serve the field. So for me, it's really important to catch people before they completely lose control and are out of their body, and
Hmm.
yeah, needing either too much time and attention or needing to hide. So that part is really important as well.
Mm.
And then it's a question of being flexible enough always that you're reading the fields, that you're seeing and feeling the different temperaments in the room, and you're not just, and we're not just teaching in a way that this is the way for everyone. It's like feeling everybody in the field and sussing out the temperaments, having an understanding of temperaments, feeling the different energies, and really seeing what that field needs as a whole, instead of this is the way that I'm going to do it, this is the only way that I'm going to do it. And that's there's no flexibility within that. So there's a lot of flexibility within the structure.
Hmm.
And then finally, I've created a manual, which has been a laborious task. For every single one of my events, there's a manual with all of the discourse and practices detailed, so that people have something to reference back to. And that's because when people are receiving a lot of information, it's very hard for them to remember it all. Actually, it's scientifically proven that we only retain a very small percentage of the information that we hear. So I do a lot of embodiment practices, and you do too, because we understand that change happens through the body, not through the mind. But there is powerful discourse and new terminology that people, it's like a whole new world, right? They're learning how to be autonomous. People are learning that they don't have to just submit to a system that has power over them, that they can have power to create the relationship that they want, that's hot and sexy and also deeply caring and loving. They can have a job that they actually enjoy. They can have a life that's created from the inside out, and that they don't have to be a victim. They can actually be the creator. And when people start realizing that, it's like, fuck, man. And they get all excited, but then it's like they get home, and I know I experienced this. It's like, where do I even start? And
Yeah.
what was that she said about this, and that he said about that? So the manual has everything in it, and it's for the Living Tantra retreat, for instance, it's a compilation of 7 courses that each have their own hundreds of pages manual that I condensed. Soul Leadership has a manual. All of my courses have manuals, and the feedback I'm constantly getting is, thank God I have this manual. It's like my Bible. It's reminding me. I picked it up today when I was really triggered, and I read the heart chakra chapter, and I remembered the practice of pausing and coming back to myself. Or,
Mm.
I was really, my nervous system was fried, and I read chapter 1, and it reminded me to ways I can return to rest and digest. And so that's another way I create safety, is by giving people something that they have in front of them that they can always refer back to.
Yeah, and there's a few points that I want to kind of continue into the slow somatic experiences. I know part of my own journey and all of this is this longing to always have these peak experiences and these ahas and something that's gonna you know blow me away. And even last week I was speaking with this guy, and I could feel this part within him that was seeking for something to shake, to totally rock his world. And I feel like a lot of one of the things I enjoyed about this last Living Tantra we did in Bali was that part of my psyche is so used to that space, whether it's in Tantra, whether it's just in this like the transformational world of always trying to find the next thing that's going to set me over the edge and take that next client to that place of, oh my God, is he going to live, is die? And I could feel a part of me that was very used to doing things in that way. And I like the way that we weave together, because I still like to hold that, but not in a way where people feel like they're jumping over the edge and dying, like jumping over the edge, allowing parts of them to die, but still coming back to slow burn from within. And what I've seen, it's been quite remarkable, because many people that were in this retreat with us in Bali, I've gotten continual messages just saying, like, I can feel the slow progressive shift that's happened within me, different from any other retreat they've been to before. And receiving that feedback, it was like I could intuitively feel that a lot in the moment, but now seeing that feedback from people that have been going through that, that to me is a sustainable change that I want to see in the world, that I'm longing and striving to create more of. And one of the things I like with what we're doing with Alaya is because of that slow somatic change and that slow shift through time, and not necessarily certainly the strong experiences, the gradual change through time, the gradual change of transformation through time and space is actually more sustainable. And I think for that alone, that really speaks to my heart and speaks to the place of, it's like the body, sometimes if you take a big rubber band and we extend it, and it's going to snap back, but if it's just a little bit of extension, the snapback isn't as much. And it's like the area, the spaciousness for love to flow actually increases, rather than just this intensity of like super high highs and low lows. So it's the same thing you see with a lot of guys speaking from stage and motivational speakers and rah 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 rah, but like the sense of where can this actually make sustainable change into somebody's life is really what speaks to me the most, which is why I'm loving what Alaya and what we're bringing out into the world.
Yeah, and it's good you brought up the motivational speakers, because there's both those poles where you get penetrated here and it's like, oh, I'm the creator, I can create my life, and then here, and it's like it's really about bringing the two together. And I feel like sometimes there is strong somatic experiences. You saw there were a few times where people really popped, but they're the people who are ready, and that's the part where trusting the field comes in too. And then when there is a big, strong somatic experience, my being knows then, and yours does too, and I can feel where we then come together and bring people back in so that they can actually feel the realization they're meant to have. And music is something I didn't bring up that helps create safety in the field. Tara's beautiful voice and Antosh's guitar, and live music as people are closing their eyes after the bigger experiences or even the slower ones, just so that they can settle into their bodies and go, okay, is there somewhere in my life where a boundary needs to be set that I didn't realize? Is there a truth I need to speak? Is there something I'm not giving to myself that I need to give myself? Is there a need that I have that I need to speak? And there's so much bypass of that in a lot of spirituality. It's like, oh, you don't need love, you are love. That's true. And what's also true is that we all fucking need love, right? We incarnate into a physical body partly to experience togetherness and safety through each other and through this human experience. And it's beautiful. The other thing I've learned is that a more feminine approach to Tantra is the acknowledgement that in the feminine, the need for safety and love in all of us is very real, and it's fucking okay, right? And equally so, the need in the masculine in all of us for freedom is real and okay, but we need to balance that. And I do feel like that, yeah, spirituality in general is over masculinized. It's like, okay, you're a sovereign being, you take care of yourself. And if you say yes, then it's yes. You're an autonomous being, and we need to release all stories about needing love outside of ourselves. And I got trapped by that. I became this independent woman who's like, I've got my inner union, I don't need anyone else. Yes, that's true. What's also true is that we need each other. We need community. We need to get real and raw with each other in slow ways that really help us to see the reflection of our own humanity, not in any other way than just this moment where we're centered, we're grounded, we're feeling, we're seeing. And I feel like with you and I and the whole Alaya team, the trust that we have for each other is something that really creates safety in the fields. And as you know, it's been a journey trusting you, and this trust from feminine to masculine and from masculine to feminine. I mean, there's stuff for you as well. And as we invest more in each other professionally and personally, stuff comes up. It's like, can I trust how much I'm investing into this person and into into our work together. And it's like, fuck yes, absolutely. And
Yeah.
the more that fuck yes comes online, and the more that I feel held by you, not just in the bedroom, not just in the boardroom, but in absolutely every area, the more that I can feel the transmission that we're giving to the field of a relationship that really honors and respects each other, trusts each other. And I feel like we've got that with the whole team. So that creates a lot of safety. Yeah.
Yahoo! And so I guess in kind of the closing of this conversation, what would, I have some of my own thoughts as well, but what would you say to, a woman or a man that has an interest in kind of diving more into Tantra, or they've maybe been to something and maybe they got a little disillusioned, or they've heard bad stories, or, there's just a part of their being, either on a conscious or an unconscious level, that's kind of, it's like every part of them actually needs a lot of the support of the transformation that we're offering, but there's a big fear, and a lot of it has to do with them not feeling safe. So what would you say to them to, to say, hey, there can be some more safety here? What words or expressions?
I would say it's possible to experience Tantra without genital touch. It's possible to experience Tantra without re-traumatizing your body. It's possible to experience Tantra and remain fully clothed. It's possible to experience Tantra in a way where the deepest, darkest parts of yourself are seen and revealed, and not shamed or taken into something that's too extreme for you to really integrate it. So there's a whole world of possibilities where Tantra is a fully balanced, full spectrum lineage that will hold you beautifully. And if you feel called to it, really nothing I say, it's not even about what I say. Hopefully I have touched your heart in some way or pierced the veil in some way, but at the end of the day, it's your truth. And if you feel called to the work, if the word Tantra or anything I'm saying to you, or workshops that you see, you feel, is that for me? Then just feel that energy and know that if you feel called to that, that there is a space you can come to where you can be held in that calling.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, and I think that what I would share to that is to quite similar. It's like there's just a knowing in the body. I hear it time and time again when people come into this work, and it's like I just knew that there's nothing else I needed to come here. And it's like that knowing and that willingness simply to show up. I think it's a willingness to just simply say, okay, I've tried a lot of other things, or maybe you've never tried anything and you just know this is your path. Like listen to that voice and come find us. There's a lot of offerings that we're doing this year. I know the one that we're really excited and inspired about is this beautiful venue in the south of Spain in August for our 8-day living Tantra retreat. So we'll put some information below, and it's been fun dialoguing around safety and just creating. And I really, I for one just want to say I honor you and the path you're taking and the path you choose, and it's a joy to teach alongside you and to support so many beautiful beings into waking up and to remembering, the truth of their own soul, the truth of their own heart, and to do it in a way that they can feel safe and comforted, yet still find deep transformation and the surrender of the things that don't work anymore in their life. So,
Thank you, baby, for your support. It's so beautiful to feel a man that I'm teaching with who isn't repressing his sexuality, but isn't overextending it, and someone who I can really just feel completely safe with, and that I can trust your channel because you're a channel for love. So thank you for that, baby.
You're welcome, baby.
All right, and yeah, for people who want like a taste and aren't ready for a full weekend, Fundamentals of Tantra is happening in Perth in July. So yeah, there's heaps of events. We'll put links in comments. And yeah, have a beautiful day, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
See you all.